Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. I'm really glad you could join us today because we're embarking on, well, maybe a slightly different kind of journey, you could say. Our mission here, as you probably know, it's always about digging through the information that's out there, articles, research papers, sometimes just an interesting idea, and pulling out the really essential stuff, the key takeaways, maybe those surprising bits, those moments where it all just clicks. We really want to give you that shortcut to being well-informed, but without drowning in information, helping you see connections, maybe patterns you hadn't noticed, and just walking away feeling like you've got a richer grasp on things.
And that's really where the value is, isn't it? I mean, the world is just full of data, facts, figures, but understanding. That comes from connecting the dots, pulling together different pieces of information, and importantly, looking at new topics with a mind that's both critical, questioning, but also open. We don't just throw information at you. We try to put it in context so you understand not just what is being said, but maybe why it's important, how it connects to the bigger picture. It's really about encouraging a way of thinking, questioning assumptions, looking at things from different angles. It helps build, I think, a more solid understanding of, well, everything. It's this ongoing venture, really.
Okay, so normally right about here is where I'd say something like, okay, let's dive in. Today we're looking at our sources, including this really interesting document called saudijin.pdf. And then, I'd start sharing all the fascinating details, maybe some surprising history or whatever findings really jumped out at us. And honestly, I was actually looking forward to doing exactly that. We had saudijin.pdf lined up, ready to go, ready to break it down, analyze it, pull out the insights for you.
Because that's what we promise, right? Clear, engaging, valuable stuff that leaves you with a new perspective, maybe gets you thinking.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
But sometimes the journey itself, the process of trying to understand, teaches you something unexpected, even before you get to the actual content. And that's kind of what happened here. Our look at saudijin.pdf actually gave us this unique moment to pause, to think about information itself, maybe, and what we expect from it. We look at every document, every source, wanting to find meaning, those key insights. We read them carefully, we discuss them, all to bring you something clear and distilled.
And when a source, for whatever reason, doesn't quite deliver that tangible content, it makes you think differently. It shifts the focus to the process of discovery itself, the anticipation, and maybe the value we usually find in substantive information. It really highlights how much we rely on having something solid to dig into for these deep dives.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point. It makes you think about the hidden machinery behind gathering knowledge. We're not just passively receiving info. We're actively working with it, looking at how it's presented, if it's complete, what its potential is. And it does raise that question. What happens when you have let's say the container, the file name, the expectation, but the content isn't quite there?
Exactly. It forces an appreciation for the methods we apply every time, whether the source is packed with details or, like in this case, more of a blank slate.
It's almost like a detective story, maybe. You get a case file, it's labeled something important, suggesting clues inside. You open it up expecting witness reports, fingerprints, evidence. But if the file's empty, well, it doesn't just mean no clues. It makes you stop and think, okay, how was I planning to use those clues? How much did I depend on them being there? An empty document, funnily enough, forces you to confront that reliance head on. What can we learn from what's missing?
That's a powerful analogy. And it leads to that next step, doesn't it? What does this teach us about looking for the gaps, the absences in any information we encounter?
I have to admit, when we first realized saudijin.pdf was essentially, empty, there was definitely a moment of, okay, this changes things.
Yeah, seems natural.
Yeah, different kind of thinking starts. It's not just about what we didn't find. It's about what the absence might mean.
And historically, that's not totally new, is it? Think about archaeologists. Sometimes the biggest insights don't come from the pots or tools they do find, but from the gaps. Like a sudden stop in a certain type of pottery or a whole period missing from the records. Those absences are clues in themselves. They could signal migration, maybe conflict, maybe even deliberate destruction of history. Our sort of digital blank page here, it kind of pushes us into that same territory in a modern way. What questions should we ask when the expected info just isn't there?
And it really shines a light on what we mean by the integrity of information, doesn't it? It's about knowing if the source is solid, if it's reliable, if there's something crucial missing that changes the whole story. An empty document, like you said, it forces that question right to the front. It reminds us that learning isn't just absorbing facts. It's also about understanding how we get those facts, judging the sources, and figuring out what information is actually valuable.
Mm.
When a source gives us nothing explicit, it makes us think about that absence and what that might tell us about the wider world of information. It's a bit meta, I suppose.
It is a bit meta, but it's a valuable kind of meta, I think, because it ties back directly to what we try to do here. A huge part of the deep dive is taking the potential in a source and making it real, making it accessible for you. We often talk about how we handle conflicting views or trace an idea's history through different studies. We've had deep dives where, we found some obscure historical fact that totally changed how you look at a modern problem, or maybe a scientific finding that makes you rethink how the world works.
Yeah, those are the moments we aim for. And we know that's what you, the listener, are often looking for too. That clarity, that spark, where different pieces suddenly connect in your head. We really focus on finding those surprising details, the things that stick with you. We're always trying to translate complex stuff into something engaging, something real world, using analogies, telling stories, finding the human angle, just making it stick.
So even though today's specific source, saudijin.pdf, turned out to be more of a conceptual starting point than a source of content, it actually underscores the rigor we apply every single time. It reminds us that our value isn't just in what a source says, but in how we approach it. It's about that promise of discovery, the search for understanding. So this unusual situation, it just reinforces that when we do have those rich, detailed sources, which, believe me, is the norm, we are absolutely committed to giving you the best, most insightful take. It underlines our role as guides through all the noise, helping you find what genuinely matters. It's about building that critical thinking muscle, not just consuming content passively.
That commitment is absolutely key.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me think maybe this situation is also a useful reminder that the really deep understanding sometimes means stepping back, looking at the structure, the scaffolding of knowledge itself. A proper exploration needs substance, right?
Mm.
It needs threads you can follow, arguments you can take apart, data you can analyze.
Yeah.
This situation, kind of an outlier for us, it does give us a pause to appreciate that architecture of information. What makes a source good?
Right, what makes it robust? Often it's clarity, isn't it? Specificity, verifiable detail, something that actually adds to the conversation.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it shows why critical thinking isn't just about what you read, it's also about noticing what you don't read, what might be missing.
Mm-hmm. The gaps again.
It goes back to the foundations of our information world. Our job is mainly interpreting and explaining, but that really depends on having good, solid data to work with. It raises a question for everyone, really. What do we fundamentally expect from the sources we turn to? This unexpected blank canvas makes us appreciate the richness that usually fuels our talks and the work that goes into presenting that knowledge meaningfully.
Yeah, it's about the craft, isn't it? The craft of building understanding. When we have multiple sources, we're actively looking for those links, for evidence that lines up, or maybe for voices that disagree. We're triangulating, trying to build a reliable picture, spotting patterns across different reports, weaving them together to give you perspective and depth. And that whole process, that commitment to deep, meaningful exploration that stays the same no matter what any individual source looks like. So while this particular source gave us an unexpected moment for reflection, it really just highlights the consistent effort and dedication to understanding that we bring to every deep dive we do for you. It shows the value of having a solid method, even when the inputs vary.
And that consistency is exactly what we want to deliver. Providing that clear structure, that engaging conversation at a pace that respects your time, balancing the big picture summaries with those memorable details that really make it land. We know you're looking for those aha moments, and we're here to help find them, whether it's a new fact or just a fresh angle on something familiar. The great thing about this deep dive process, even with today's twist, is that it's always a journey of discovery. For us too, not just for you. Each time is a chance to learn, connect, and share something valuable. We're always adapting, exploring, trying to bring you insights that empower your understanding. Making sure you, our listener, feel enlightened, maybe even excited, not overwhelmed, even when the lesson is about the learning process itself.
Exactly. Ultimately, this whole pursuit of knowledge, it's an ongoing thing. It takes curiosity, it takes persistence, and it definitely takes a willingness to engage critically with information, whatever shape it comes in. The ability to look closely, to question, to synthesize, that's more vital now than ever, really. Every time we engage with a source, every attempt to pull out meaning, it sharpens those skills. And while today served as a potent reminder of how crucial substances, it also reaffirms the value of the process itself, the discipline of thinking critically, the constant quest for deeper understanding. It's about building that strong intellectual framework, one deep dive at a time, ready for whatever information the world throws at us next.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this perhaps more reflective deep dive today. We always appreciate you being here. We promise we'll be back very soon with more fascinating material, ready to dig in, find those key insights, and share them directly with you, helping you stay informed one deep dive at a time. Until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and stay curious.
The journey really does continue.